Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's layout, we are going to be making a mixed media background, and then we're going to heat emboss flowers and cut them out to use on a layout. I figured I'd do this kind of, three-step process to show you kind of like an entry-level project into mixed media. So what I've done, I've kept actually the box that got shipped my cherry on top order because I'm going to use the acrylic gloss sprays. Now, I'm using that because these are acrylic, these are permanent, so they do not react with water, and I don't want the splatter to go everywhere. So it's a good idea to have a box to catch it all. Or my go-to action is usually to hold it over my garbage can, and that way the splatters will just get, because I have a really large garbage can, that way too. So that is why I have this. So it's if you have a box or even an Amazon box, and you want to use sprays and you don't want the overcast everywhere, it's a good idea. And I'm going to do an experiment and try it on the Epson white premium presentation paper. It's a heavier weight cardstock. I still think it's like 65 pounds, but we're just going to see how it does when it gets wet. And then two, I'm either going to heat emboss it if I can, if it's an easier process on it, but we'll see how it goes because it will be acrylic unless I change it all to sprays, which would then make it easier to heat emboss. Just thought about that, because what I mean by that is that since this is plastic and you try to heat emboss on it, it's plastic. I don't know if you can heat this up because it's plastic. You know what I mean? But if you can probably stamp on it and be okay. I may have to grab a few more just acrylic sprays. Just fun sprays. Hold on one second. Okay, so yeah, let's switch gears because I thought about that with this. Like if I wanted to heat emboss these so that they're nice and crisp, this might be a problem. So we'll save more gloss spray projects for the future. So I just went ahead and pulled a lot of sprays. These are all in my collection that were all in the pink family. This one's shimmery. I like this one. I like this one. I clearly, it's so funny. I haven't played with these. They're still wrapped up. And these are the Delusions Rose Quartz. Yes, we're going to make like a pinky page. Pinky purple. Pinky purple. And then this one. Okay. Okay. So now that we have all of this selected, let's open these. And similarly with this project, I always, for filming purposes, I always start with this kind of part and anything project that I know is going to have some mixed media, because this always needs a little bit more time to dry. So I will spray this and show you the process, let it dry, and then we'll come back to finishing it all up. Okay. Okay, let's start with lightest to darkest. So we're going to go in with Rose Quartz ink. And like I said, just random. And you can't mess this up. Peony blush. And then pink flamingo. These are the inks, so these will get on your fingers and stain for a little bit. And this one is clogged. This one is just being weird. This one just has shimmer in it, so I'm curious. That one's clogged, so I need another shimmery one. Which one has shimmer? things. I don't think they do. Spritzes. We could do some oxide. I think I have the mica sprays. Hold on. I have mica sprays. Okay, and then just for more shimmer, I do have the mica sprays. And the mica's all sitting there. So these were part of Tim Holtz's releases. I have the packs from the Halloween and the Christmas, and this one's called Cocktail Party. So I do believe this one was one of the Christmas packs. Okay, we will let this sit and get all cool. Let's let you more purple. Okay, and so your hands get dirty. All right, I will, once this is dry, I will show you how I stamp and heat emboss them, and then we'll use the die cuts to cut it all out. Stay tuned. Okay, that took the time to dry, and this is what we have. These will never come out the same way twice, but I love when we added the mica sprays and stuff, you can see where it added the gold and then some of the overlapping of colors. So we're going to stamp these now. So we have 4 different florets. Oh, and you know what I'm thinking? Ooh, I should have done like a green version for like the leaves and stuff. We might have to do that. So let's just start heat embossing them, and then I will come back. I will heat emboss them. I'll cut them because that's stuff that you don't need to see with the die cuts. And then we'll make a mixed media one for the leaves in like greens and stuff. But let's get started with this part. Okay, so if you're familiar with stamp heat embossing, you have to have Versamark ink pad, which is kind of this clear ink that adheres to the embossing powders. I think I always have a Versamark one. It does come in liquid form, but this is the key ingredient in needing to emboss. I think it can be done with pigment inks, but I am unaware of which ones are the alternates, but this is just how I've always done it. And this does take some time, so this layout is definitely a labor of love. But I wanted to show you this simple approach, and I know I've done it before, to getting a mixed media look for your scrapbooking layouts, especially if it intimidates you. Even something like this, like I'm embossing it for flowers, but if you had heart punches or circle punches or hexagon punches, it's a neater way to kind of still incorporate it because you can punch out all those shapes or the flowers and have this the variation from the mixed media be a highlight on your layout, which is super fun. Okay, there they are, all heat embossed. Some of them I accidentally like double printed, you know, because I moved it by accident, but it'll all work. So we'll cut these out, but while I have you, I got another piece of the cardstock. I pulled out the greens that I have in my collection, and let's just make a inky one so that I can make some leaves from it as well. So I have all sorts of shimmers, oxides, dilution inks to play with. Cracked pistachio, that's a classic. And these are the ones that have shimmer too. So let's make this one. Go ahead and make another one with all the greens all together. So I always make sure to do like your flat ones first and then add any of the ones that have shimmer second. That's always the best way to go about it. And this variation turns out really cool too. I love all the greens. Okay, this is how the green one turned out. I love all the color variation and some of the sparkle. And we're going to do the same thing, but now with the 2 foliage ones. And I'm just making sure. Yeah, and then the die cuts still come with the sets too. So let's get stamping and embossing these as well. And so I repeat this embossing process for it as well. When I do the leaves though, I do only do half the sheet of paper with leaves, and then I've already saved the rest for another project in case I need more foliage. But I just didn't feel like I needed a whole sheet worth of the leaves. So that's just a tip as well. You know, you don't have to use the whole thing. I could have done half and saved it, but I'm glad I have it in my stash to use whenever I need to cut out a quick leaf for a project. Okay, all of them are cut out and embossed. They're all ready to go. I've already cut my pages to the size I need for my 6x8 album. So let's get finishing up this layout. Okay, so let's get started making this layout. I cut my papers so that they were 7 1/4 by 8, that a size that fits outside the page protector in my 6x8 album. I'm realizing in my volume 2 that I'm on right now is that I've been using a lot more dimensional elements, and it's getting chunky, but not with as many stories as I did in my first album. So because I added more of my scrapbooking supplies, like I am on this layout too, I'm adding one of my foam thickers for the title. It adds bulk to the album, which is not a problem, but just realize, I think, like, say for instance, if I was able to add, say, like, I don't really know, but 30 stories in my first album, I'm already maybe on like 10, and it's pretty full already. You know what I mean? So the bulk of the titles is what's getting, using up some of that space. So I have to be conscious of that and maybe make a few less dimensional ones. So for my photos, I printed them out in black and white, and I also mounted that Maggie Holmes like black and white doodle scrapbook paper on like half of the layout. I wanted to still have more white on the page, but not all white, just so that there was something to ground it to. And I probably could have done it the opposite way too, with the scrapbook paper on the bottom half and leave the top half white. Either way, if you recreate it, it would be fine. My photos are black and white. One is a 3x4, and the other two are two by 3. So usually they're a collage that I do. Oh no, and then I made a 2x2 photo. So I must have just cut off their legs so that it was just a little bit different. So I have 3 different size photos. I think that also adds interest to this layout. And I definitely use every single flower that I just heat emboss and cut out of that 8x10 paper. So it's very luscious with the flowers. And I go ahead and consciously use them all. I think maybe I didn't use 2 of them. I'll be honest. You know, I think I have 2 in a dish over here. But I love the way that turned out. And it was photos from when me, my mom, and my sister was in town from New York. Went out to lunch near the like, what I always say, like beachside. She always wants to have like a beachside sandwich and a margarita, and we always sit outside. It's always one of her things that she has to do when she's in Florida. So that's what we did on this day that I wanted to document. So I love the way this layout turned out. My only thing, when you'll see it in the end, I think I mentioned it too in my outro, is that I do the journaling for the left side bottom half where I've left that space. And because it's a rectangle text box, I didn't take into account the curlicues of the bottom of the title. So it makes it sit really low on the page. So it was the only thing I would have done different if I planned it out a little bit better, would be that. But it turned out so pretty, and I'm happy that this story is told in my album. Okay, that will wrap up this layout for me. So I went ahead and did the journaling on clear sticker paper. What I would have thought of sooner, but I didn't, and it's okay at this point, is I would have considered where the journaling was going to go to be in between here, but because I just make it a text box on my Word document, it just had to be below the bottom part. And then I thought about raising this up and repositioning it, but if I did that, it started to crease. I'll show you where the bend is. And I was like, nope, we're not doing it. You see the little bend when I even had to lift it for that? So I was like, I'm not even touching it. So it's not ideal, but I still love it. And just look at all this flower lusciousness. All right. So this came out fantastic. I do have a few flowers left to do, but it's a great way. Oh, and I also added the Scrap and Happy Studio Flare. It's a great way to do mixed media without having completely the whole mess, if you know what I mean. Because you get to cut it out. So even if you do like that initial spray sheet with all the colors, and then use like your circle hole punch or your hexagon punch, or if you have a flower punch, you can get the variation in all of that goodness with the purples and the pinks. It just turned out so good. And another flare from Scrap and Happy Studio. So a quick story about my sister's trip to Florida this year. Love the way it turned out. Very girly, black, white, and pink. Can't go wrong with that. Thank you as always for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. Give this video a thumbs up, and until next time, everyone, bye.